everyone, I'm Rose Jean Reducto and we will talk about the modern art movement in the 20th century. What are you waiting for? Let's dive in. Do you ever look at a painting in a modern art museum and wonder what I'm looking at? Or what is the inspiration of the artist to paint those unique Ay, shit. Malimtan jud na ako ning PPT ay. Hello everyone, I'm Rose Jean Reducto and we will talk about the modern art movement in the 20th century. What are you waiting for? Let's dive in. Do you ever look at a painting in a modern art museum and wonder what I'm looking at? Or what is the inspiration of the artist to paint those unique artwork? We've all experienced that moment when we want to know more about the unusual artwork we're seeing. But before we start, let's first identify tips. So first, trace the evolution of art movements such as Impressionism, Cubism, Surrealism, and abstract expressionism. Next is examine the role of subjectivity and individual expression in art. And lastly, appreciate the diversity of styles, techniques, and concepts employed by artists. So, let's start the first modern art movement, which is Impressionism. Impressionism was an influential art movement that emerged in France during the late 19th century, primarily in the 1860s to 1870s. It marked a significant departure from the academic art traditions of the time, emphasizing the depiction of light, color, and a very short time moments rather than detailed realism or historical narratives. Impressionism seek to capture the essence of a scene or moment, often emphasizing the play of light and its effect on the subject matter. Artists like Claude Monet, Pierre-Auguste Renoir, and Camille Pissarro, among others, were key figures in this movement. Impressionist painters often work outdoors, or in French, they call it en plein air, or in English translation, it is the open air, to capture the changing qualities of natural light and its impact on landscape. This approach allowed them to create works with a sense of immediacy and spontaneity, as they sought to capture the essence of a scene rather than its exact details. So the key characteristics of Impressionist paintings include visible brushstrokes, a focus on capturing the effects of light, vibrant colors, and an emphasis of movement and atmosphere. The use of complementary colors and broken brushwork were also common techniques employed by Impressionist artists to create a sense of vibrancy and dynamism in their works. So we have the example of Impressionism artwork here. It is the Impression Sunrise by Claude Monet and Land of the Boat Party by Pierre-Auguste Renoir, 1881. So the Impression Sunrise, this painting created in 1872 is often considered the essential work of Impressionism. It depicts the harbor of Le Havre at sunrise, means the harbor or the port, which loose brushstrokes and a vibrant color palette capturing the fleeting effects of light and atmosphere. Monet exploit loose brushstrokes and a varied color palette to capture the ephemeral effects of light and atmosphere at sunrise. He used quick gestural strokes to suggest the reflections on the water and the mystic quality of the scene. The use of complementary colors such as orange and blues enhances the vibrancy and depth of the painting, creating a sense of movement and immediacy. So, The inspiration of Monet is nature beauty of the harbor at Le Havre, where he witnessed the play of light and atmosphere at sunrise. The painting was created during a period of artistic experimentation as Monet and his contemporaries seek to break away from academic conventions and capture the immediacy of perception. So, the other example artwork is Sloat 40. It is completed in 1881. This large-scale masterpiece portrays a group of Renoir's friends enjoying a leisurely lunch on the balcony of the Maison Fournaise restaurant in Chateau, France. The painting is renowned for its vibrant colors, lively composition, and depiction of contemporary Parisian life. Renoir utilized a complex composition with multiple figures and objects arranged on the balcony, creating a sense of depth and space within the painting. He employed a harmonious color scheme with warm, sunlit tones dominate the scene to convey the relaxed, leisurely atmosphere of the gathering. Renoir's brushwork is fluid and dynamic, particularly in his depiction of the figures' clothing and the textures of the surrounding foliage, contributing to the overall sense of movement and life. So the inspiration for this masterpiece stemmed from his frequent visits to Maison Fournaise restaurant in France, where he observed his friends and fellow artists enjoying leisurely lunches by the river. The painting captures a moment of conviviality and relaxation, reflecting Renoir's interest in portraying the pleasures of modern life and the camaraderie of his social circle. So the next modern art movement is Cubism. Cubism was a revolutionary art movement pioneered by Pablo Picasso and George Braque in the early 20th century. It seeks to depict objects from multiple viewpoints simultaneously, breaking them down into geometric shapes and resembling them in abstract forms, rather than representing objects in a naturalistic way. Cubist artists fragmented and rearranged their subjects, challenging traditional notions of perspective and representation. This fragmentation allowed for a more dynamic and complex portrayal of reality, capturing the essence of an object or scene from various angles and perspectives. Cubism can be divided into two main phases. The first is analytical cubism, and the other one is synthetic cubism. So the analytical cubism developed between 1908 and 1912, focused on breaking down objects into geometric shapes and analyzing their basic forms and structures. Colors were often muted, and the focus was on creating a sense of depth and dimension through overlapping planes and perspective. While the synthetic cubism, which emerged around 1912, introduced elements like collage and more vibrant colors into the artwork. Artists began incorporating real-world materials such as newspaper clippings and fabric into the composition, blurring the lines between painting and sculpture. So Cubism revolutionized the way artists approach presentation, paving the way for abstraction and influencing numerous artistic movements that followed, such as Futurism, Constructivism, and even aspects of Surrealism. Through its innovative approach to form and space, Cubism challenged viewers to see the world in a new and multifaceted light. So, we have example artwork of Cubism. One of the most famous artworks associated with Cubism is Pablo Picasso's Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, 1907. This painting is considered a groundbreaking work in the development of Cubism and modern art in general. It depicts 5 nude female figures in a highly stylized and abstract manner, with sharp geometric shapes and fermented forms. Las de Mossos de Avignon is celebrated for its radical departure from traditional representation and its exploration of shape, of space, form, and perspective. It's regarded as a seminal work that pushed the boundaries of artistic expression and paved the way for the Cubist movement. Las de Mossos de Avignon was inspired by a variety of sources and personal experiences in Picasso's life. Picasso was deeply influenced by African tribal art, particularly the masks and sculptures he encountered in Parisian museums. He was fascinated by the geometric forms, stylized faces, and expressive qualities of African art, which inspired him to explore new modes of representation in his own work. In addition to African art, Picasso was also influenced by the ancient Iberian sculptures from his native Spain. This sculpture featured simplified abstracted forms that resonated with Picasso's interest in primitive art and its directness of expression. Also, Picasso's personal relationships and experiences may have also played a role in the creation of Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. The painting's depiction of five-nude female figures has been interpreted as a reflection of Picasso's complex relationship with women, including his romantic partners and muses. So the title of the artwork refers to Avignon Street in Barcelona, a neighborhood known for its brothels and nightlife. Picasso frequented this area and may have drawn inspiration from the lively atmosphere and the diverse array of characters he encountered there. So the next modern art movement is Surrealism. So what is Surrealism? Surrealism was an artistic and literary movement that emerged in the early 20th century, primarily in Europe, led by André Breton and also artists such as Salvador Dalí, René Magritte, and Joan Miró created works that often featured unexpected juxtaposition, bizarre imagery, and symbolic motifs. It sought to unleash the power of the subconscious mind by tapping into dreams, fantasies, and the irrational. Surrealist artists aim to explore the depths of the human psyche, often depicting bizarre, dreamlike imagery with unexpected juxtapositions and symbolism. Key techniques include automatism, free-flowing spontaneous creation, and juxtaposition of unrelated elements to provoke thoughts and evoke emotions. Surrealism influenced various art forms, including painting, sculpture, literature, film, and even philosophy, challenging conventional notion of reality and encouraging viewers to question their perception of the world. So, we have a examples artwork of Surrealism, which is The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dalí, and other one is The Lovers by René Magritte. So The Persistence of Memory is this iconic painting features melting clocks draped over various objects in a dreamlike landscape, symbolizing the fluidity of time and the subconscious. Dalí used meticulous brushwork to create the smooth, realistic appearance of the landscape. The melting clocks were inspired by the texture of camembert cheese melting in the sun. He employed the technique of paranoid critical method, allowing his mind to wander freely to tap into his subconscious and effect dreamlike imagery. So the inspiration of The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dalí was the concept of time and the relativity of reality. The melting clocks were influenced by the artist's observations of melting cheese and the idea of the fluidity of time in dreams. The barren landscape may have been inspired by the coastal region of Catalonia, where Dalai grew up, and its association with his childhood memories and dreams. So while The Lovers by Rene Magritte, this painting portrays two lovers kissing, but their faces are obscured by cloth, challenging the viewer's perception of identity and intimacy. Margaret used precise brushwork to create the realistic rendering of the figures and cloth, imbuing them with a sense of solidity and presence. The obscured faces challenge the viewer's perception of identity and intimacy, creating a sense of mystery and intrigue. Margaret's inspiration for The Lovers likely came from his interest in exploring the mysteries of human relationship and the enigmatic nature of identity. By obscuring the faces of the lovers with cloth, Margaret challenges the viewers to question the authenticity of their connection and the role of perception in understanding intimacy. And lastly, the last modern art movement is abstract expressionism. So abstract expressionism emerged in the mid-20th century as a prominent movement in American art, characterized by its emphasis on spontaneous, intuitive expression and the use of abstract forms to convey emotion and meaning. It is often associated with artists such as Jackson Pollock, Willem de Kooning, and Mark Rothko. Abstract expressionism sought to move away from presentational art and instead focus on conveying the artist's inner thoughts, feelings, and experiences through non-representational forms. This emphasis on the artist's subjective experience was a reaction against the rigid conventions of academic art and the rise of totalitarian regimes during the time period. Characteristics of abstract expressionist works include gestural brushwork, dynamic compositions, bold use of color, and a sense of spontaneous and improvisation. Artists often work on large-scale canvases, allowing for physical engagement with the painting process. One of the most iconic techniques associated with abstract expressionism is action painting, practiced notably by Jackson Pollock. In action painting, the artist would drip, splatter, or fling paint onto the canvas in a spontaneous and energetic manner, creating a sense of movement and freedom. So, another important aspect of abstract expressionism is the exploration of the subconscious and the use of art as a means of self-expression and catharsis. Many artists associated with the movement were influenced by psychoanalytic theories, particularly those of Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud, and sought to tap into the depths of their psyche to create deeply personal and emotional charged works. Overall, abstract expressionism represents a significant departure from traditional artistic conventions, emphasizing individual expression, spontaneous and emotional intensity. It had a profound impact on the development of modern art and continues to influence artists and art movements to this day. So we have example of abstract expressionism artwork. We have the number 14, also known as White Center by Mark Rothko, and number 1A 1948 by Jackson Pollock. So Jackson Pollock in number 1A 1948, this painting exemplifies Pollock's signature drip painting techniques, characterized by rhythmic gestural marks created by flinging and pouring paint onto the canvas. Um, Pollock's drip painting techniques involve laying a large canvas on the floor and dripping, pouring and splattering paint onto it using sticks, brushes, and even syringes. He moved around the canvas, often working from all four sides to create a sense of energy and rhythm. Pollock's intuitive and spontaneous approach allowed him to channel his emotions directly onto the canvas, resulting in dynamic abstract composition. Pollock was deeply influenced by his exploration of subconscious imagery and his interest in the concept of automatic or spontaneous creation. His drip painting technique allowed him to tap into his inner emotions and translate them directly onto the canvas, creating a visual expression of his psyche. Pollock's work was also influenced by his surroundings and experiences, including the landscape of rural America and his interactions with other artists and intellectuals of the time. Next is the number 14, also known as White Center by Mark Rothko. Rothko's large-scale, color-filled paintings like number 14 are characterized by blocks of vibrant colors that seem to vibrate with emotion and spirituality, inviting viewers to contemplate the interplay of light and space. Rothko's paintings were meticulously planned and executed. Despite their seemingly simple appearance, he applied thin washes of paint to create luminous, overlapping rectangles of color, carefully balancing hues and tones to achieve a harmonious composition. In number 14, the central white form, surrounded by vibrant reds and oranges, creates a sense of depth and luminosity, inviting viewers to immerse themselves in the contemplation of color and light. Mark Rothko, number 14, also known as White Center, paintings were deeply influenced by his interest in spirituality, mythology, and the transcendent power of art. He believed that color had the ability to evoke emotional and psychological responses in viewers, and his color-filled paintings were intended to create a sense of contemplation and transcendence. Number 14 in particular is thought to represent Rothko's exploration of the tension between light and darkness, life and death, and the human experience of sunlight. Modern art movement. This is the summary of modern art movement, which are the Impressionism, Cubism, Surrealism, and lastly the Abstract Expressionism. Also, here is the references, all of the information na makikita nyo sa aking PPT ay dito nyo makikita yung mga links. So, yun lang po. Maraming salamat. Sana may matutunan kayo and God bless. Thank you.